Well, hello. Here we are almost in the middle of March. And so are we actually starting to see what we would call spring break fever in the property market, Donald?
Yeah, sure are. Quite a burst of activity last week on all sides, top to bottom.
So in the luxury market, above 2.25 million in the 16 key markets that we track, of course, in Brooklyn, are we seeing a nice steady match in terms of new to market and in contract deals from the past week's data?
Yeah, 19 new to market last week, 18 in contract, and that kind of matching is kind of prevalent through the previous 5-6 weeks, with the exception of what happened on week of February 21, when there's 30 new to market listings in the luxury segment, which is kind of a strong number, which you would typically only see maybe in later on in the spring or sometime just after Labor Day. But otherwise, demand is keeping up with supply as far as straight up numbers go.
Let's talk about townhouses, one of our favorite subjects, of course. And the townhouses that are going into contract. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, so in certain neighborhoods that we've mentioned in the past, Brooklyn Heights being one, there's got a little bit of elevated inventory out there for townhouses that were on the market pre-COVID and kind of stayed on the market on and off through those last 2 years almost, and they are now finding buyers, which is great to see. So still, like, there's that returning confidence at the top end. It really came online kind of mid 2021 is when we saw the kind of renewed interest at the top end, or confidence at the top end, or those people maybe being indifferent to where they needed to live, basically working from home and maybe remote schooling and so forth. So that is great. And also, these properties that we're seeing finding buyers are resales that aren't terribly dated, but have some wear and tear on them, which is very normal, obviously. And that is a little different as well. At this top end, you haven't seen a lot of that recently. It's mostly turnkey buyers out there. Obviously, as we know, crazy interest at the $3 million to $4 million price range. That's way in excess of supply. But here it's a little more tepid. So it was good to see these resales being picked up recently.
And in the below 2.25 million market, we have seen new to market and in contract numbers last week. I think they're the highest we've seen since the start of 2022.
Yeah, with the exception of 1 week in early January, we haven't seen these numbers since early October, which is normal for that time of year. So definitely, this is clear signal of what we're typically in New York City is known as the spring selling season, April, May, June, where it's kind of peak volume, peak new to market, peak in contract activity for just about every asset type.
And is this level of activity starting to trickle through in terms of what we see impacting prices when things come to market?
Yeah, it's hard to, as far as our data goes, hard to get a real confident read on that. I will say though that conditions certainly do support sellers being emboldened to increase their asking prices, and I wouldn't blame them. Again, as we're pointing out here, inventory being picked up almost 1-to-1 as far as the last few weeks go here at all price points. So that's the great conditions for sellers, obviously.
And so finally, obviously, we have a lot of people who ask us questions about what, if any, is the impact on the day-to-day property market of everything that's happening in the world. It's a very hard question to answer. I know all we can do is point to what we see, who we talk to, who we work with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody's got kind of different budget, different place in life, different needs. As far as kind of more nationally, I'd say, as far as the economy goes and inflation, we're most likely going to see increasing interest rates here soon, and certainly first-time buyers are sensitive to that, or anybody trying to stretch to move into something a little bit bigger, a little bit grander, a little more expensive, and where they want to just be super careful with not missing the opportunity. And first-time buyers are generally always anxious to begin with. Forget about where we are in the economy, but it's that kind of thing I see, and rightly so. Who wouldn't be nervous about something slipping away where you thought you'd be able to get into something where there's pre-inflation, pre kind of uptick in demand, things are getting a little more challenging, basically, for certain price points, and again, good for sellers, more challenging for buyers.
Definitely. Okay, well, we'll be back next week. Have a good week.